What does it feel like to be 6 months alcohol-free? Today, we are going to find out. We are talking to one of our Project 90 alumni, Dr. Karl Krantz, who is a chiropractor. He's 54 years old. He's a married father of 7 kids from Wisconsin, currently in transition with his family to Florida. And we're going to hear from Dr. Krantz in just a moment. And if you have been entertaining the idea of doing something about your alcohol consumption and you would like to stop and you are ready to stop, I invite you to learn about our stop drinking programs. We have a 90-day program. We have a 365-day program. You can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90 to learn more. There's a video there and some details. And if you would like to speak to one of our coaches to entertain the idea of joining us in either our 90-day or 365-day program, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. All right, let's learn about what happens when you go 6 months alcohol-free. I'll give you a little teaser, if you like. The gentleman we're about to speak with lost a fair whack of fat. He's going to reveal how many in just a moment. His blood work. Some interesting things happened to his blood. Cholesterol levels, include testosterone levels. We're going to learn what happened there. And we're going to learn what happened to Karl's marriage, because Karl's marriage was strained when he was drinking, and we'll find out how it's going now. Dr. Karl Krantz, welcome to the show. Great to have you here, sir.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm truly, truly excited and honored to be here and talk about my journey.
Well, tell us a little bit about your journey. Just give us a bit of background about you and what you do and where you live and your family, just so we can get to know you, and then we'll dig in.
Sure. So my wife and I have been married for 33 years. We have 7 kids, and they range from 28 down to 14. So about every 2 years we had a new one coming along, and they're just fantastic. They're just, the stars of my life. And my wife and I have always been, stressed raising all the kids, and we have our own business and everything like that. And so we're in Wisconsin, and it's been a wild ride. And we know that, ups and downs and everything. And through that journey, I always, enjoyed coming home and having a couple beers and everything. And kind of the running joke was, when Dad passes away, on the back of his gravestone, we're going to say, "Has anyone seen my beer?" Because I'd always like to set a beer down or something and wouldn't know where it was. But it was really casual. And it developed into more and more of a habit for me. And so I guess stepping back then about my career, I've been in chiropractic for almost 30 years. And I have an advanced certification in nutrition. So I felt, pretty hypocritical sometimes of my alcohol consumption with that. But we have a thriving practice and everything. And my wife has been a huge support for me. She's stood by me through everything. She's just phenomenal. And she's an amazing woman. So, so when things started changing in our lives, we live in Wisconsin, and after the pandemic, we decided that we'd start moving our family down to Florida, and I would stay back and run the business, and I would commute. And so this past year and a half has been a pretty big challenge, because I fly back and forth a lot to Florida from Wisconsin. And then our oldest son, who was living in Florida, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Testicular cancer, and very advanced. And so that really put a big strain on me even more. So I found myself, actually, what I said to myself at the time of his diagnosis was, I told myself that I was going to stop drinking for Connor's sake. And that didn't take place. And instead, I started drinking more. And when I was in Wisconsin alone, I was, just lonely. I needed to get a house ready for sale. And I found myself, drinking more in the evenings and certainly more on the weekends, and became a real challenge for what I was trying to accomplish in my life at the time.
Thank you so much for sharing and being so candid about what's was going on in your personal life there. Just to check in, how is Connor, your oldest son, doing currently?
Connor's doing really well. He's on the other side of it. He went through extensive chemo and 2 major surgeries. His last surgery, they removed 2 football-sized tumors. And yes, I said football. And he is doing remarkably well. And it's just been a huge journey for him and for our whole family. And so, yeah, thanks for asking. He's doing great. So now he's on the journey learning how not to grow cancer.
Amazing. And that must have been an incredibly overwhelming, stressful, worrying time for you and your wife and your children.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. What effect did that have? Like, just maybe describe on how you were feeling and what the ramifications of that were.
I think that the biggest thing was, obviously worrying about the potential loss, the loss of our son. And if he were to pass from this, because it was so advanced. And so it was hard too, to be able to be with my wife at all times through that journey and support each other and support our kids. So when I was commuting back and forth, it was really hard to jump into their life down there and help them and help our son Connor, because he lived down in Florida. And so that was really challenging for me, and it added to the emotion and the desire to just numb that all out. I found myself really wanting to numb more and more of the emotions of everything that I was going through.
Mm. And how did you numb those emotions?
With alcohol.
So what were your drinking habits before this life-changing event happened, and what were your drinking habits during the health challenges with Connor?
Well, and it wasn't just Connor. It was that transition to Florida and the commuting that I was doing. So I was quite lonely back in our house. We had a big, magnificent home back here in Wisconsin, and it was a full, vibrant house of 7 kids that we raised in there, and then all of a sudden, here I am alone with a dog and 2 cats, and once in a while a kid would come home from college and such. So that added to the stress of it all. And so my habits prior to all of that were, I guess I would say, moderate drinking. But, it was routine. I was the type of person who would come home and I'd want a couple beers and enjoy it. So I found myself increasing that, so I'd have more each night. And certainly on the weekend, if I was going to go clean the garage or go do yard work, then I was enjoying more alcohol at the time. And there again, I was trying to decrease the emotions of the stress of, I have to get this work done. It's the weekend. I have to clean, organize, get the yard work done, et cetera, run here and there, and then get ready for the work week and so forth. So it just started escalating more. And then really when it was being home alone in that house a lot of the time, and then Connor's diagnosis, then I started drinking more.
And was it always just drinking more beer, or was there other alcohol involved?
Yeah, it was beer. Yep. Yeah.
Beer.
I never had a desire to drink hard alcohol. I didn't like wine. It was always beer. That's what Wisconsin is known for: beer and cheese. So yeah. What most people don't know is that Wisconsin is the number one. I think we have the number one highest amount of alcoholics in all of the states, and the highest amount of binge drinkers, and then the highest amount of alcohol-related deaths per capita too. Mm-hmm. So we don't have a good track record up here in Wisconsin. So I think I was upholding some of that.
Yeah. So if you were having a couple of beers per night under normal circumstances, how many did it increase to when it was under the stressful time that you were going through and the lonely time that you were going through?
Yeah, 5 or 6 beers.
Okay. So you were knocking back almost a 6-pack per night for how long?
For probably 9 months.
Got it. Okay.
Maybe longer.
So either a 6-pack or almost a 6-pack for 9 months. Got it. And what was the result of that? Like, what were the ramifications that you started to realize, and when?
I think that one of the ramifications was the realization that when I was with my wife and kids in Florida, our relationship was very strained. My acuity obviously was very poor. My memory and retention was poor. My emotions were erratic. I was either really easily angered, agitated, easily saddened, things like that. So it put a big strain on us. She would say something and I wouldn't remember it. And it was very frustrating for her. And, our communication was poor that way as well. So it really, really put a strain on it. And I knew things were building inside me to look for some change. I was scared for that change. I didn't know how to approach that. And I knew things were very challenged and strained with our marriage. And I didn't like that. I wanted to make sure that we could sustain our marriage, but I didn't know what course we were needing to do.
May I ask your wife's first name?
Yes, Bridget.
Bridget, great. And so did Bridget say something to you about the state of your marriage? Did she say anything to you about how much beer you were drinking? Was she aware of that or unaware of that?
Yep. Yeah, she was aware of it. And I don't think she was aware of so much as when I was back here in Wisconsin alone. Yeah, she brought up a couple different things and helped make me aware of some of the challenges. And that was an eye opener, to have someone really start to call me out on some things.
How did she call you out on those things? Do you remember where and when this happened? Was it one conversation? Was it a few? Like what kind of hit home?
It was a few, and I think one of the most significant ones was just really how she said it. It was just more of how it wasn't mean, it wasn't harsh, but it was direct, and it really got my attention. And I can't say specifically what she said with her exact words, probably because I had been, I was in the fog, but it was basically like, our marriage, is probably can't survive these habits of yours. And basically that, nor can our business and our transition to Florida and everything that we were trying to do.
Mm. What were the ramifications on your business that she was referring to, that Bridget was referring to?
Sure. I think basically with that is that I didn't show up as the leader that I needed to be, both for my staff and for my patients. And when I was really engaged daily with my patients, but it would take all of that effort to be engaged with them. And then I didn't have anything left over for my staff to guide them and direct them well. So we stayed stable, but we didn't grow. I put a lot of things on my staff that I should have taken responsibility for. And so we had some staff turnover and we had some challenges going that way. But I certainly didn't move in the direction that I needed to, anticipating our transition and move.
Got it. How big is your practice, your chiropractor practice? How many staff or do you have? And just to tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure. So it's relatively small. So we have 3 staff members that run the front desk, insurance, and bookkeeping and so forth. My wife, Bridget, does a lot of the work as well of the bookkeeping and accounting. And then we have a full-time associate doctor, and we have a massage therapist on staff. It's a general family practice, and I used to have a lot of pediatric training, and I focused on pediatrics in my earlier years, and it stayed into a really big family practice because as those families have grown, they've continued to stay with me. And I feel very blessed with that because I have an amazing following of patients And I love them all dearly. They're like they're like family to me. My patients are just, like I said, family.
Got it. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So relationship was strained, and Bridget actually said to you that she didn't think that the marriage could survive what your habits at the time. I mean, that must have been a big wake-up call. And so what did that trigger you to do? Did you do something immediately, or did you still carry on with those same habits for some time before doing something? Like, what happened after that?
Well, it's interesting because I had probably about a month prior to that, I really felt a need, a want, a desire, whatever you want to call it, kind of that aha moment that I better wake up and start doing something for myself, but I wasn't willing to do it at the time or ready to do it. But I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and something popped up about your program, the P90 program. And I'm like, well, I remember James Swanwick. I think we had his book, or I saw your book at some point or something like that. And then I think I was reminded again shortly after Bridget said that to me. Something popped up again about your program, and I'm like, maybe this is the program I need.
Got it. You probably saw a paid advertisement from me on Facebook or something. It's like, we can read your thoughts, Dr. Krantz. We can, like, as soon as you start thinking about it, bang, you've got one of my Facebook ads in your face.
Yeah, I think it was either on Facebook or on LinkedIn. I can't remember which one.
Yeah. And so what did you do?
So I talked to my wife, Bridget. I said, I think I want to check into this and learn more about it. And of course, she was supportive. And so I sent an email and said I was interested. And then we set up a kind of interview call about it. And I started to learn about it. And as soon as I had that call, I knew that this is what I needed to do, what I wanted to do.
Got it. So you enrolled, you spoke to one of our coaches, you enrolled in the program, and what happened? What did you experience?
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a lot. I was really scared. I was excited, though, on the inside as well, but I was really scared. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. I expected to fail, but at the same time, I was so committed to one, because of the financial commitment, and then looking at what I would lose if I didn't do it. What I would lose, how would I lose my marriage if I could look at my family and realize that I would lose more time with them, and all those things that I would lose. I thought, okay, I can't fail. But in my back of my mind, I kept hearing that little voice saying, you're going to fail, Karl. You've tried to quit before at different times, and this is just another try. But really, once I remember the first call with Coach V specifically, and she was really nurturing but direct. And I felt that connection that, okay, here's someone who really can guide me. And then I started doing the Marco Polos. And I remember doing that first one. I was so nervous. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? And how am I going to do this? It's day 1, and then day 2 and day 3. And it was, the first 2 weeks were hard. They were hard.
Just to clarify for our listener, when Karl is referring to Coach V, he's referring to Coach Victoria English, who's our head coach inside of our 90-day and 1 year long programs. And if you are a frequent listener to the podcast, then you would have listened to some of her episodes. And when Dr. Krantz is talking about Marco Polo, we have a video messaging app as part of our process, whereby our clients communicate with each other between Zoom calls via recording little video selfies and sharing it with one another. Think of it kind of like a private Facebook group, but instead of people messaging via the typed out word, they're messaging each other via video selfies. I'll tell you this, Dr. Krantz, if you want to see a bunch of grown adults throw tantrums, Tell them that they've got to do Marco Polos and do video selfies. You probably felt that way as well, right? You're like, oh man, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, what did I sign up for? What do I have to do? So, and then the calls, the calls each week, that was, again, nerve-wracking to go on that first call. But those calls, I got so much out of it. And I look back and I wish I would have done more. I know, we could have done up to 4 per week, and I would do for sure 1, sometimes 2. But I look back and I think I gained so much out of those calls, for that hour and a half time of talking with other people on P90 and you and Coach Victoria, and just how you guys directed us through and guided us was so profound. It was great. That's where I really felt the changes take place. And I couldn't wait to put those tools into place and then move forward to that next time of that meeting.
Mm. And when you said it was hard in the first 2 weeks, I'm assuming, I won't assume, but you said that the first 2 weeks were hard. Why were they hard? What was hard about it? Was it just the going on to the Zoom calls that we organize with our clients and sharing a little bit about your story? Did that feel vulnerable to you? Was it the fact that you just went from a 6-pack of beer a night to literally cold turkey, and you were experiencing some irritation or frustration with that?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely felt some irritation, agitation. My habits had to change. And so I was like, how do I fill the void? So I was always into exercise. I shouldn't say always, but over the last 7 years, I had really gotten into exercise. When my drinking increased, my exercise went way down. But so I thought I needed to fill that void. And how am I going to be? I'm just going to be so bored, or, what am I going to do with my time? So I started working out more. And then I would find myself, like, if I started to get agitated, I'd have to just go down to the treadmill and get on the treadmill for 15, 20 minutes just to do something, or go outside for a walk, and just to get out of that habit. And then you gave us different tools, obviously, to think about when we came home, how could we change that habit, instead of walking through the door and doing that same thing over and over. And that was really, really important. But my agitation was pretty high the first 2 weeks.
Mm. So then, as you went through the program and you attended the calls, it became easier, I'm assuming, for you to make the Marco Polo videos. Why were they important? Why were they important for you to record a little video and share it with others, and then for you to watch the videos that others had shared?
Yeah, well, one, I loved watching the videos because it was great to jump on and start to meet the people, the new members. So we were all in the same boat, if you will, but we had started at different times. So it was great to be able to listen to the polos and hear other people who were farther along in the program share their current experiences, and then the new people share their experiences, which you could relate to. What I found later was that as I looked back, I could then see my polos transforming and changing as I got, so to speak, more mature in the program, and realizing, I gained so much knowledge from the people who had gone before me in that. So I loved listening to the polos. It was something that I could listen to every day to give me that little, push. So I'd get up in the morning, I'd listen to a couple polos. I'd be halfway through the day, I'd listen to a couple polos. I'd get home from work and do a couple polos, and then do a couple polos before going to bed. So, or listening to people. I would polo myself or record myself. I tried to do it every day, sometimes twice a day, from anything from a really little tidbit of information to, what my day was like, whether it was a great day or what it was a crappy day.
Hmm. A lot of resistance I hear from folks who are very self-conscious or don't want to share. Everything was private and confidential, right? For the listener who's a little bit worried about that, nothing of which you recorded ever made it out into the public domain. You didn't share anything. Nothing. There were no privacy breaches, right? Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I felt really comfortable with that too, because I wanted to make sure that was respected for myself and the other participants.
Hi, this is Victoria English, Senior Coach at Project 90, the program that helps high achievers stop drinking either temporarily or permanently. If you're an executive, entrepreneur, investor, physician, or other high achiever and know you're drinking too much, if you know your current drinking habits are compromising your sleep, relationships, health, and your happiness, and you're ready to finally get your drinking under control by quitting for either at least 90 days or 1 year, you are invited to apply to become a Project 90 client. Our 90-day and 1-year programs involve a safe, fun, yes, I said fun, private virtual community of high achievers with a process that boasts an incredible 92% success rate of clients reaching at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free. Applicants can apply for an introductory interview by visiting alcoholfreelifestyle.com/Project 90. You'll likely speak directly with me or one of our other coaches. Are you ready to stop for at least 90 days? Are you ready to stop for at least 1 year? If so, we can help. Application interviews are limited and are conducted on a first-come, first-served basis. If there are no remaining interview times available, wait a few weeks and try again. Schedule your 15-minute initial application interview by visiting alcoholfreelifestyle.com/Project 90. Let's get back to the show.
Having said that, now in a second, I'm going to ask you about the amazing results that you've generated from consistently being alcohol-free. But I want to ask you the question, why are you now willing to share your story publicly? Because this is a podcast and this is going out into the public. You felt, resistance and you really wanted privacy and confidentiality at the beginning, but now you're almost 6 months alcohol-free. Why are you now on a public-facing podcast sharing your story?
Well, I think really because it transformed my life, and I know that the changes can take place for other people as well. And everyone's journey obviously is different, but what we all share is that we all need guidance and we need that accountability. And it really moved me in so many different ways that it's made me the person that I want to be and the person that I need to be for my family. But the biggest thing that really was transformative for me is that I put myself first, and as a provider to my family, my wife and kids, I was trying to put them first in many ways, and which is okay. But I was at a stage in my life that I needed to start putting things in place for myself in order to show up and be a better husband, a better father, a better doctor, everything. And so as everyone's on their different journey, they need to hear it from other people, whatever other people are going through, so that they can relate. So if I can even help one person come to your program and realize that it's doable and that they can change their lives here, then that's fantastic. I'm excited about it, but I want to reach more people.
Well, thank you. I so appreciate you making that choice and being here and sharing your story publicly. It's really inspiring for people. Now, we want to find out exactly what happened now, as I've kind of teased this long enough. What happened when you were consistently alcohol-free to your health, to your business, to your relationship with Bridget? Talk us through what the results were.
Okay. So my health has changed dramatically. As I said, that I needed to replace some of my habits with another habit. And so I started exercising more. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to support myself too, because I want to nutritionally get my body better balanced and work through that transition through that. So my cholesterol levels, my resting heart rate, I'll go over that right off the bat. So I monitor my sleep, my resting heart rate, everything with a Whoop. And so I see what happens every night. And my resting heart rate was in the mid 80s sleeping or low 80s. And as I monitored it, I could see it steadily coming down. Now my resting heart rate at night is, it almost looks like flatline, like at about 62. And it's just amazing, because before my heart rate was just all over the place, all night long, just metabolizing everything. And of course, I was metabolizing tons of food at night too, because I'd be eating all up until 10 o'clock at night, And so my resting heart rate changed, my cholesterol changed, all my blood work changed. My liver enzymes are absolutely, quote, exceptional from my doctor, and kidney function, et cetera. My blood pressure is fantastic, and my testosterone has gone way up, and just all sorts of things have balanced out physically. I started exercising more, and so my last assessment, I have lost close to 15 pounds of fat and have gained close to 10 pounds of muscle, which is really cool. So I do look totally different than I did when I started P90, which is awesome. I'm very proud of that. My practice, that has been a huge game changer. I am so aware of everything going on in the practice. I have my hands on the dials. I'm learning, I'm growing. I have showed up a different doctor and a different boss and a different business owner. So we've got a lot of growing to do that I want to see change. So I'm super excited about that. But it's that changed a lot. And then for my marriage, that is the biggest transformation.
Tell me more.
It is just a giant game changer. I truly can say is that we are more in love now, I think, than we've ever been, because we've started doing so much work together on our marriage and putting each other first. And it is just absolutely extraordinary.
I can see you visibly emotional as you are sharing that. Why is that? Why is it so emotional for you?
Because it feels so good. It just feels so good. It feels so full circle. And it goes back to our commitment to each other and what that commitment looked like through the journey that we've been through in 33 years and the ups and downs, and looking at, most importantly, what's to come with an awesome future together.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. You've been married 33 years, you and Bridget, so far. Is that right?
Yes.
And what's the feedback that you've received from Bridget since you've been consistently alcohol-free?
She point blank said, I really like the alcohol-free Karl. I like the new Karl.
Yeah. And how did that feel to receive that?
Really, really good. Really good. Yeah. I like the new Karl too. I look back and I did not like who I was and who I was becoming. Yeah.
Well, you certainly put a stop to who you were becoming, haven't you? You stopped that. You were heading off in one direction.
Yes.
And you pumped the brakes, went through this process, allowed yourself to be coached, which is not an easy thing, especially when you're a coach. I mean, you're a chiropractor, so you're there supporting other people, but to allow yourself to be coached can sometimes require a Herculean and monumental effort. Did it feel that way for you, to allow yourself to surrender to be coached?
Well, it did in a way. Yeah, absolutely. And I felt that I had, so to speak, all the answers. I knew what to do, and I just wasn't doing it. I didn't put things in place that I needed. And so to be coached, someone has to show up and be coachable. And I made a commitment that I was going to show up and be coachable. And sometimes I knew that I was going to hear things that I did not want to hear. And sometimes I was going to show up and hear some praise that I was excited to hear. So that definitely was my journey through the 90 days.
You made some acquaintances or friends during the process?
Yes.
What kind of people were they the other clients, the other members in our 90-day program, what type of people were they?
Boy, anywhere from, entrepreneurs of multi-million-dollar companies to, people that were stay-at-home moms or dads, and just a whole array of people. And I definitely developed a friendship with 3 people in particular, and 2 people I keep in really close contact with, and we'll text each other and support each other. And I met one of them for coffee when I was out in California on business. And it's just really neat to know that I have that support. And most importantly, through those relationships that I developed, I know that how do I explain this? That we all came together, drew from each other, gave to each other, and that those relationships will continue on even if we're not in contact with each other. Because obviously we're not in contact with a lot of each other, a lot of the other members. And then also to the relationship just with you and Coach Victoria, to know that you guys are there and your commitment to us is gigantic. And that was, just to know that at any time we could reach out to you guys was huge, totally huge.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. What's the outlook now, Dr. Krantz, regarding alcohol in your life, regarding beer? What's the plan now? You're almost 6 months as we're recording this. Where to from here?
Sure. So, it's, I can honestly say I don't have any desire for alcohol. And one thing you had challenged us with was to, dive all in and expose ourselves to the situations or challenges that would come about. And so my wife and I are foodies. We love to go out to dinner and everything and go out with friends and go to different events and things like that. And so I didn't want to give that up. So I remember one of the first things, actually, it was the first weekend that I was alcohol free. We had a giant fundraiser that we needed to go to, and it was absolutely spectacular. Couldn't wait to go. And I did it all alcohol free. So, and believe me, there was plenty of booze available. And so since then, we've gone to all of our favorite restaurants. We met up with all of our friends. We continue to do it routinely. And sometimes we'll even sit at the bar to get our meals faster. And I just order my, club soda with a splash of pineapple and a lime, or, just water, whatever it is. And I don't miss the alcohol at all. And when I started P90, I thought I'll forever miss it. And I don't. So going forward, I want to be remaining alcohol free the rest of my life. And I want to show that to my kids. And we have 2 grandchildren as well. And I want to show that to them that I am a different person. I'm a better person. I'm the person who I needed to be, and reveal that person to them every day.
Beautiful. You went in thinking that you were going to miss alcohol with resistance, drinking a 6-pack of beer a night. And now 6 months later, you're sharing with people that you don't miss it and you're going to stay alcohol free. That's a pretty wild transformation, isn't it? It's fascinating, the weight loss, the cholesterol dropping, the resting heart rate dropping, the blood pressure dropping. That's really interesting. But to actually have broken the back of desiring alcohol, that's a huge mental shift, isn't it? That's a huge mental breakthrough.
yeah, it's way bigger than I imagined.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy for you. I'm really happy for Bridget. I'm really happy for Connor and his health. And I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for showing up when you were in the program. And thank you. I've been watching you send some Marco Polos since you've been out of the program to support other members. And I don't, I want you to know that I see you doing that, and I really appreciate it. I saw your Marco Polo just from a few days ago. You don't have to. Some people get to 90 days and they feel okay, and then they disappear, and that's okay. Other people stay in touch and keep sharing, and that's welcome, and we love that. And, I always say it's not just about getting the coaching yourself, which of course you get when you hire us to support you. But the quickest way and the most effective way to get this alcohol out of your life, to rewire your brain around alcohol, is to share and coach others, to inspire others. And you are definitely continuing to do that by virtue of this very podcast interview. And also I see you doing that in the Marco Polos ongoing as well. So I want to thank you for that, Dr. Krantz.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed doing it. And I want to keep in touch with people and give some inspiration as I continue on that journey, because I check in on those polos and I see what people are going through and the changes that are going on in their lives. And I can't say that I watch all of them now, but I do check in frequently. And I'd love to just give a little bit of advice here and there, especially if someone's struggling, and then also just giving them little tidbits of uplifting information. You never know who needs to hear what you have to say.
Well, Dr. Krantz, thank you again. Really appreciate you sharing your journey with us. Incredible journey it has been, and wishing you and Bridget and Connor and all of your family great health ongoing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Hi there, this is James Swanwick. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I would be so grateful if you would leave a review. That will help us climb the rankings and get our show exposed to so many more people who could really benefit from the content. You can do that by going into Apple Podcasts, rating the show, writing a little one-sentence summary, and posting it. That would be so amazing. Thank you. Likewise, if you would like to schedule a 15-minute exploratory call and apply for our Project 90 program, then you can do so by going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. If you'd like to get the free guide, that is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Our YouTube channel is at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at James Swanwick. Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.